Hello. Before I share this interview with Michael Neill, I just wanted to give a bit of context. So, I recently went to Austin to do a 5 day uh, coaching, but it's really just a leadership, personal development intensive with Michael Neill. And it was just an amazing, amazing experience. And while I was there, I asked if I could, interview him, and I'd kind of had the intuition beforehand, and he said yes. So I mean, it's an incredible interview. I've watched it over and over again. So many lessons on change, effortless change, change in a moment, how to really fulfill your potential, what gets in the way of that, miracles, we explore so much within about 18 minutes or so. But just to give a little bit of context, we recorded it just before that day's session, and it's in the room where the workshop, the intensive was. So gradually as it goes on, you'll hear some background noise because people in the room, speaking. Some people might sometimes cross the camera innocently. But all that just to give a little bit of context. So I did the best I could to kind of remove the background noise, stuff like that. But anyway, without any further ado, enjoy. Okay, so I'm here with Michael Neill, transformative coach, author, speaker, legend, just a, a way of movement from what I've learned from you, not just these 5 days of this course, but just 3 years ago since I came across your work. It's just fundamentally shifted the way that, I live life. And then there's also been, access to the three principles, the inside out understanding, Sydney Bank, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I can't even put it into words really.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's
this
the problem, especially for a podcast.
so we might have a little issue here, but
It'll
we
be fine.
we got 15 to 20 minutes. So yeah, let's have some fun.
Sure.
And
Where do you want to go?
when I was just reflecting, I was like, okay, I've got this opportunity to sit down with you. So, what could be of use to the greater whole, right? Like to people who would watch this. And, I work with, a lot of people in my life and where I was in my life where just feeling very stuck,
Hmm.
like knowing that there's something more,
Hmm.
but just not being able to fulfill my potential, starting things, stopping them or wanting to apply for, let's say, for a big job or start a business, but feeling like, oh, I can't do that. I'm not ready, right? Like having the initial thing and then withdrawing.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe that's something we could, start with just speaking to and your
Yeah.
experience of that.
I don't know if anyone will like my answer, but but only because it's going to sound religious, and I don't mean it in a religious way, but it's there's a line in the Christian Bible that seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and everything else will be added unto you. So put aside any of the implications religiously of that. We are made of what we are looking for. We're made of fulfillment. We're made of contentment. We're made of peace. We're made of happiness. We're made of all the things we think we'll get when we get the job and when we have the breakthrough and when our business takes off and when our art is appreciated around the world. And so if we can find that in us and nothing, like it's the great equalizer, on the inside, nobody's got an edge. If we find that in us, it is so much easier to navigate the world of form. It is so much easier to handle the stupidity and the inanity and the unfairness and all the stuff that we see around us because it doesn't matter. We've already got what we were looking for. But when we create from there, we share that with the world. We wake that up in people. When you listen to a piece of music that you fall in love with, it touches that space in you. You look at a piece of art that you love, you watch a movie that you love, it wakes that creative joy in you up. That's why we love it. You use a product that's why I was just in I Ubered over here and the driver came in a brand new Tesla X, and those gull wing doors go up, and I'm like, this is so cool. There's something in the love and creativity that went into the design that touched that space in me. And so when we're communicating from that space, it invites people into that space in them, and it tends to go well. But this is also Earth, so not always.
Well, why do we look away from that space, right, at times? Because what you're saying just made me think of, like, when I was a kid and, I wrote stories, I'd write the stories just for the love of writing the stories. And then maybe my teacher would read it, my mum would read it, and they would be like, oh, like, that's nice, But why do we look away from that space when?
Well, we're trained to, and it's not, nobody's out, like, everybody has been trained to from a very early age, so they just train the next generation and haven't noticed. Now, there are always the oddballs who notice, and they're the ones who are out there just creating for its own sake. They're the ones who are out there raising the consciousness of the planet in spite of, not because of. But for me, I think one of the things that happens is, as grown-ups, we forget that creativity is its own reward. Like, as a kid, you do that because it's so fun. But then we think, as big people, that we're helping by going, "You're great, you're," and now we start chasing the affirmation, and we lose touch with the intrinsic joy of creating. And then we're on a treadmill. Like, then we're on a merry-go-round. Then we're kind of screwed for a little while because we start looking for affirmation outside of us instead of enjoying the thrill of creating on the inside.
Can you speak to that love of just, like, what you've seen about the love of just creating for the love of creating itself, and the impact that has on results? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, one of the big impact it has is that you actually stay in the game long enough to produce them. Like, most people never actually create. They think about creating, then they think about what will people say, and then either they just give up, or they create something that isn't what they really wanted to create. It wasn't following the movement. It was, maybe people will like this. And the further away you get from the joy of creating, the further away the creation gets. It's like, there's an expression in the legal world, fruit of the poisonous tree. Like, if evidence was obtained illegally, it doesn't matter. So it's the same thing. It's like, once you're not creating from inside, from joy, it might be all right. It might be nice. It might be popular, but it isn't.
It's not
that thing.
Ain't got that.
Right. It's missing that thing. It's like we could all be arthritic if we could find the words, because it's like, that's got it. No, that doesn't happen. What's it? I don't know.
And it's all interesting that we can recognize that, like, we can feel that when that's present and
absolutely
present.
I guess the X factor is the closest phrase we have for it. But of course, the X factor just means I don't know. It's that, but it's that.
Change. That's what's coming to mind to me, right? Change. This was one of the things when I came in contact with your work, that I noticed things that I'd been thinking about for years or trying to change for years just changed. Like, overnight, like, very quickly. Like, even wanting to be a coach, it wasn't the first time I'd thought about being a coach when I came into contact with you. It's something that I actually thought about for years, but there was a level of, I guess, it wasn't serious, or I don't know, it just didn't seem a realistic thing. But after I came into contact with your work and my insights, my understanding was like, I was like, oh, I can trust that thing. And then just overnight, before you know it, like, I'm coaching people, and and even the other side of it, which I've told you and told other people, like, I used to smoke. I smoked for like 16 years, on and off, as it were, with cigarettes, and I stopped some periods of times, but it was after, discovering this understanding that I just stopped. Like, and it wasn't hard. It was exciting. And it just, and I haven't spoken again since then. And it wasn't like tempted. It was just,
No, change is natural. Like, that's the nature of the universe, is change. But we have created this idea of change that we are responsible for doing it through discipline, willpower, effort, hard work. And we if we're good at it, we take pride in it. If we're not, we feel shame about it, or we just give up on it altogether. But real change is effortless because it's obvious. So change effortless change is a matter of context. And what I mean by that is we live in a, come with me into the matrix. We live in a thought created reality. Like, yes, there's coffee and things, but we spend 99.9% of our time in a world that is in here, representative maybe of a world out there, but we're living in this one. So if it looks in my world in here like cigarettes are the one thing that let me relax. They're my break. They're my rebellion against the man. They're my nectar. And yeah, I know they're bad for me, but the trade's pretty good. But I'm going to try to change. Well, I'm up against it. That's why I need so much willpower. That's why I need discipline. Because fundamentally, I don't want to change. Why would I want to give that up? But in one heartbeat, if my thought created reality shifts and I suddenly see that for me, this is rat poison I'm smoking, I'm done. No effort required, no program of careful substitution of other. It's like, I am done. I'm not smoking rat poison. I don't give a crap what you think. You can't make me. And it's done in a heartbeat. But I have to see it. It doesn't help for somebody to tell me, you know, that's bad for you. I know that's bad for me, but you don't know how good this is for you. But I don't care how good it is for me. The second I have the second I know it's rat poison, I'm like, I'm out. I don't want it anymore. And that's true everywhere. Change, you know, people say habits are really hard to change. But I always laugh at that because if you've been going to work the same way every day, 45 minutes, buses, people, and I show you a shortcut that'll get you there in 10 minutes with no traffic, you will change the habit of a lifetime in one day, one time. Now, you might start down the old way every now and again when you're distracted, but as soon as you notice, you're going to go right back to the new way. We're really, we are creatures of the obvious, but some of the things that are obvious to us just aren't true. And that's why we get into trouble.
Isn't there also, I mean, it's an element that I've felt where it's like, no, it's like, it's too obvious. Like, and in the context of, you know, where I come from, my community, my society, where it's like, this thing is really hard. And then I'm seeing it, oh no, it's easy. But then everyone else is saying it's really hard. And I'm like, no, it can't be that easy then, because everyone is saying that this is hard.
Right. And look, it is normal that we look outside ourselves instead of trusting this. And there's a learning curve. Like, if you just trust this, you also might end up locked up in jail as a nutter because people don't realize you're the second coming of Jesus, right? Like, I'm not saying don't check every now and again, but fundamentally there is a knowing in human beings. We're all connected to source. We're all connected to the wisdom of the ages. And if we cultivate that connection, we start to learn when it's helpful to check outside and when we don't need to. And my favorite way of actually talking about the obvious is the elusive obvious. Because it is obvious when you see it, but until you see it, you don't know what anyone's talking about.
There's something I did want to speak about a few, you know, so, you know, I work with a lot of people around confidence or for lack of a better way, not feeling confident. And therefore kind of attributing that to, let's say, like imposter syndrome, you know, and like, I don't know who I am, or like, I know who am I to be the one to step up here and say this thing and, you know, come up there. Like, so I was curious to hear your understanding of confidence and even possibly something like imposter syndrome. And
Well, look, am I allowed to swear?
yes. Right.
Who you are is the creative potential of the entire fucking universe. Now, don't get a big head, because so am I, and so are you, and so is everybody else. But it's an insane question. Now, I get it's a really common question because we think we're my body, and we think we're my race, and we think we're my gender, and we think we're my personal history. No, we're the infinite creative potential of life in form. But we think we're the form. So imposter syndrome is because I think, how could somebody who looks like me and sounds like me and has my life experience, well, they couldn't, but you can, because you are not the shell. You are that which animates the shell. And so there's just no version of reality where that isn't enough. So it's a case of mistaken identity. That's what imposter syndrome is. The character I think I'm playing, the character that I am playing but think is me, no, there's no freaking way they should do it. Fortunately, I'm the one playing the character, not the character.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, there's one last topic.
Okay.
I want to talk about. And you've been talking about it a lot recently as well.
Okay.
I like talking about miracles.
Big fan.
You see the new show? It's great. Loved it. You know, when I speak of miracles, I speak of just I love it was from actually it's Creating the Impossible.
Yeah.
You know, you had the quote in there from Einstein, right? There's two ways to see life. One is if nothing is a miracle. The other is if everything is a miracle.
Yeah.
And you know, that is like if you shift your glasses, you can see it all around you. But then there's what you call moments of unearned grace.
Yeah.
Serendipity. I would consider this miracle if you don't mind me saying myself, you know. So just curious to hear your perspective on that and why you've come to see that a new light or speak about that a bit more now.
Yeah, I think I stopped talking about it, even though, so my experience of life is if you really look at our role in what's happened in our life, it's relatively small no matter how hard we work. I think of myself as a very hard worker. And most of the good things that have happened in my life are very little to do with me. Right? The odds of my meeting my wife, let alone us being here 36 years later, happy, like really didn't make sense, especially when we met. I showed up, like I stayed, but the miracle, I couldn't have engineered that in a million years. Things that have happened in my career, people I've met, opportunities I've had, they didn't come from directly from cause effect. And that's what a miracle is. A miracle is where you can't see the cause effect. And so it doesn't mean there isn't one. I don't know what it is, but it's just I am not the active cause of this. I cannot attribute this to any action I took. And I either make up that, yes, it was me, I did it with the power of my mind, or I just bask in the fact that we are held in a miraculous space where things are possible beyond our imagination. I stopped talking about it because people would get upset that the particular result they wanted wasn't happening and go, where's my miracle? You exist. There's your miracle. You breathe. There's your miracle. You're not dead. There's a miracle. Like we start way too big. Now, once you start seeing how miraculous it is that we're even here, then you start to open up more and more and more to these other miracles. And I've come back to it because I've just seen that people think too small. If you don't allow for miracles, you're stuck with the edge of your imagination. And our imaginations are usually pretty tightly sharp edge.
No, thank you for that. And it's funny you said it because my company is called Creating Beyond Imagination.
Good man.
and it was just kind of from that like there's so many things that have happened that it's like I never could have planned. And you know, opening up to like not in theory that there's an energy, divine energy, you know, whichever words we choose to use it. You know, I use the word God and you know, universe, whatever, but there is something greater than me that has led me here, and I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah.
But I know in the results, it's like, no, I never could, I couldn't have wrote that script, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Now listen, there's an audience waiting for me.
Yes.
So if you got one last one, give it to me.
No, I feel like that's good. If you want to share anything actually about myself, you know, and this experience, you know, I'll be curious to hear.
I think that any time you come to the table with sincere questions, you'll get good answers.
There's not no more else to say. Thank you everyone for watching. It's been Michael Neill. Check out, links below. This is my guy, man. Like Mike, trust me.
Thank you.
So that was the interview. Hope you enjoyed it. Whether hits, resonates, let that sit with you. I'll put some links below. One's for Michael Neill and his upcoming talks, and to his website and stuff like that, so you can check that out. If you see this before, June 4th or something, 2024, there is a talk in London in there. So if you're around the London area, check that out. As well. I'll put that below too, and I'll put a link to my website below if you want to check out more about me. Subscribe to the channel. You know what I'm saying? I always wanted to do that. I got some heat coming up. I've got interviews with other people. I've got I'm doing my own videos and sharing about really how to connect with a deeper level of confidence. Put yourself out there and live the life that you truly desire, and be who you really are. So much more, to come, but I thank you for tuning into this. Stay plugged, stay locked in. My catchphrase will be created as time goes on. Take care. Bye.